Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon. Very good morning. Welcome to our 32nd session of webinar series Captain of Industry, brought to you by Faculty of Engineering UTM Johor Bahru. We are initiating university-industry collaboration during unforeseen pandemic situation since Movement Control Order MCO to have a platform with our Captain of Industry to share their thoughts, way forward and challenges during post-COVID-19. Now we are streaming live from Facebook Faculty of Engineering UTM. Today we would like to welcome Mr. David Kurywchak, Vice President of Sales and Service SAE International, with his interesting topic today entitled SAE International Mobility Engineering Today and Tomorrow. Thank you so much, Mr. Kurywchak, with live from Detroit, Michigan, for accepting our invitation, and it's our privilege to have you with us today. Without further ado, I would like to invite Yang Berusaha, Professor Data Engineer Dr. Muhammad Rafiq Dato Abdul Kadir, Dean, Faculty of Engineering, to introduce our captain today. Over to you, Dato.
Thank you, Murni. Assalamualaikum and hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to our 32nd UTM Engineering Captain of Industry. Today it is my utmost pleasure to welcome our Captain of Industry, Mr. David Kurywchak. A bit about our presenter today. David Kurywchak is the Vice President of Sales and Service of SAE International. In this role, David is responsible for leading the global sales teams for SAE International's information products, professional development offerings, and event sponsorship and exhibitions, as well as a dedicated team of customer service specialists who support all of SAE International's customers' needs. David's focus is on the total customer experience, whether it is an individual purchasing just one SAE standard, or a corporation or university engaging with multiple SAE products and services. His experience in organizational design has enabled him to create the appropriate sales and service organizations to achieve organic growth and market penetration. His focus has always been on the consultative sales process centered around customer needs, which he considers critical to achieve SAE's growth objectives and expanding mission. David has over 25 years of sales and management experience, most recently with Elsevier, servicing private and public education institutions in the US and Canada. Over his 20-plus year career, he has served in a variety of roles in sales, business development, and sales management. David holds a BA in English from the University of Pittsburgh and an MBA from the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. So that is a brief biography of our Captain of Industry today. Here now is Mr. David Kurywchak with his talk entitled SAE International Mobility Engineering Today and Tomorrow. David, over to you.
Thank you, Professor Rafiq, and thank you for that very kind introduction. And I'm honored to be invited to speak with you here tonight or this morning. It's still nighttime here in the United States, so I'm just going to share my slides here quickly so that everybody can see. So I'd like to talk with you this morning about SAE International and what we are doing to support mobility engineering both today and tomorrow. And more importantly, I think going beyond supporting and advancing mobility engineering. And there's a lot of things that SAE is involved in. And a lot of people know SAE either through one area or another, whether it be standards, maybe they've attended an event we've done, taken a professional development training course, or hopefully even authored a paper or an article with us. So, but there's a lot more that we do to really support engineering, both in education and in industry. So that's what I'm going to talk tonight, and just give you a little introduction to SAE, talk about our activities, what we're doing, how we're supporting mobility engineering, and probably most importantly, how you can get involved. So with that, I'd like to first start by talking about SAE's mission and vision. Our mission statement to advance mobility, knowledge, and solutions for the benefit of humanity. And our vision is to be the leader in connecting and educating mobility professionals to enable safe, clean, and accessible mobility solutions. And the way we do that, neutral forums that convene to address society's mobility needs. One of the things that's very unique about SAE International is we take companies and organizations and institutions that might be competitors in a commercial marketplace, and we bring them together to basically get consensus and to agree on things that serve the common good of the industry and the market. So that's very unique to see these fierce competitors get together and work together to help advance mobility engineering. We provide a reliable and comprehensive collection of engineering resources. We're also very active in education and STEM and engineering education at all levels of grade, whether grade school, university, or even into people's career in the workforce. Consensus-based standards is really what SAE is known for, and I'll speak on that in a moment here. And really, it's about a global community whose collective wisdom makes mobility safe, clean, and accessible. I always like to mention that SAE doesn't really produce any content or any standards ourselves. It's our members and our volunteers and our stakeholders that get together to produce that great content. We simply make it available and accessible to the market. Quick little history on SAE. I'm not going to go through all of these, but just talk a little bit about where we came from. We were founded in 1905 in New York City, and basically a group of engineers working on this new technology at the time called the automobile. And they wanted to get together and kind of share ideas and share best practices. Henry Ford was one of our early founders and actually our first vice president. In 1906, we had our first transaction was published. And in 1911, we published the SAE Bulletin for the first time, which we are still publishing today under the title of Automotive Engineering Magazine. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit to 1916. At that time, something kind of big happened. SAE International, the Society of Automobile Manufacturers, merged with the Society of Aeronautic Engineers and the Society of Tractor Engineers. And that's when the Society of Automotive Engineers was really born. And we use the word automotive to talk about really anything that moves. So whether what we consider ground vehicle or aerospace or anything that flies. And in 1917, we proceeded to publish our first aerospace standard. I'll fast forward a little bit. In 1953, we published our first journal. In 1976, we established our first collegiate design series. And I'll talk about this a little later on and the importance of this and the role this serves in the community and for engineering. Again, kind of fast forwarding pretty quickly. So we established the Performance Review Institute in 1990. We formed also that same year, our 1991, the following year, we had our first affiliate as SAE Brazil was formed. And we now have affiliates in Brazil and India as well. And moving on through the time frame, again, I just want to point out some of the highlights. 2014 was a pretty important year as we published SAE's J3016 standard. And this is a very popular standard that relates to the 5 levels of automated driving. And I'll speak to this a little later on. And then in 2016, we launched SAE Mobilis, which is our new digital library platform for sharing all of our content. So again, just a quick history of SAE on how we started and how we got to where we are today. I want to spend a little bit of time here, though, because this is really important on what we do today and how SAE serves the mobility industry. There's a lot that we do, and many people know us mainly for one area or another. But I wanted to kind of introduce this quickly, and I'll touch on each of these briefly. But I'm going to actually start at the bottom with technical standards. Perhaps what SAE is known for most is our standards in the automotive and aerospace industries, over 35,000 standards readily available. Media, I mentioned that first bulletin published back in 1911 that is still being published today, as well as other magazines and newsletters. Membership, at our core, we are a membership organization. Over 130,000 or 137,000 members belong to SAE. Pre-professional development. This is where we really promote from the grade school through university engineering education in various ways. And then we continue that into professional development, where we have over 400 courses and various teaching modalities to help practicing engineers further their education and development. Engineering events, we do over 30 global events around the world every year in the automotive and aerospace and commercial vehicle sectors. Publications, we have over 100,000 publications, and besides our standards, we have our conference papers, our journals, books. So we publish a lot of publications, various research, both on what's technology today as well as what's coming in the future. And finally, our foundation. And this is our charitable arm that basically helps fund STEM and engineering education efforts throughout the world. So quite a lot that SAE, in which SAE is involved. A little bit by the numbers here. Well, as I mentioned, over 137,000 members, over 200,000 technical publications on our platform, SAE Mobilis. One number I really want to call out is 700 standards development committees. And I'm going to talk a little later on when I get to our standards about the breadth and the reach of our standards compared to other global organizations. And you'll see where SAE is involved as far as standards go. So, but we really do a lot of work around the world, getting companies and individuals, volunteers from all around the world involved with SAE. Specifically in Malaysia. So we have 42 members. We'd certainly like to get that up more. Our longest serving member has been with SAE for 28 years. So if you're listening this morning, we appreciate you being a member for that long. That's great. And you can see the breakdown. 2/3 of that is in academia versus what we call corporate and government, and some of the universities that are involved. We also have some authors. We've had 119 papers and journal articles authored from authors in Malaysia, 137 authors from 24 universities and 17 companies. So some great representation there. And I'm going to talk at the end about ways to get involved and become involved and author with SAE International. And finally, some of the committees in which people are involved. And these are some of our more popular committees. The S7 committee, flight deck handling, very popular. G19 counterfeit electronic parts committee is very active and very popular as well. So we've got some of these very, very active and involved committees. So it's great to see engineers volunteering and assisting in developing our standards through these committees. So I want to touch on a couple of the aspects I mentioned in that slide earlier on what SAE does. So as I mentioned, we are a membership organization. That's kind of how we started. As a member, certainly you can get discounts on various SAE conferences and events and products and publications. But we also have Member Connection, which is a unique way to connect with other engineers and other SAE members. It's a private online community for SAE members. There's various volunteer opportunities, mentoring opportunities as well. We post a lot of job openings for companies that are looking for engineers that want to connect with SAE members. So, and you'll see on the right-hand side, we have an offer right now, good through the end of June on discounted membership, and you can go to our website, sae.org, to take advantage of that. Here's a breakdown just kind of our members by age. By sector as well, you'll see we are heavily automotive, but the aerospace sector has been growing quite a bit over the last few years. And if you look at our SAE International, we are really 2/3 professional and 1/3 student. But if you look, interestingly enough, at our affiliates in Brazil and India, much more student-based than professional. So I want to talk a little bit about our Collegiate Design Series. This is an extremely popular program at the university level from all around the world. So basically what we have are teams of university students. They get together form a team, and they essentially build a vehicle, and they can take that vehicle to competitions all around the world and compete. And you see the various competitions up here. Auto Drive Challenge, I'm going to speak to that separately in a moment. That's one of our newest programs. SAE Super Mileage, where students can get together and basically build a fuel efficient vehicle. They get to go out in the desert in Nevada and race that. SAE Aero Design, obviously building aircraft. Baja SAE, where they can build off-road vehicles. Probably our most popular is Formula SAE, where they build race cars, and then our Clean Snowmobile Challenge. What's unique about these, or interesting about these programs is, not only do students get to build things. One of the things we hear from a lot of companies that hire engineers out of university is, they're very smart, but they've never built anything. And this program gives students the time and the opportunity to build something and then compete. And these competitions attract a lot of employers. Many large organizations across the world attend to basically gain access to these students. And a lot of these students get job offers before they graduate college. So it's a great program and a great opportunity. And not only are they designing and building, but they also have to do business plans. They got to get funding. They have to do presentations. So there's a lot of the other business work they get experience to as well. And I mentioned bridging the gap between academia and industry. These competitions allow students to build, to compete, to get experience in a lot of different areas on the business side of engineering. So like I said, they'll have to do a business plan. They have to go get funding. They'll have to do presentations in front of investors. They have to report progress, all those kind of things that really make this a great program. And I mentioned before our Auto Drive Challenge. So this is our newest program, and we're really proud of this. So this is what makes this unique is this is actually a 3-year program. Most of the competitions I talked about before, they're a one and done. You come in, you compete for a couple days. There's a winner, and then you leave. This is actually a 3-year program, and the goal of this program is for teams to build a fully autonomous vehicle. So these are now. So we've been running this this is the 3rd year now. We started this in North America basically because it was a new program. We wanted to kind of make sure we were close to this. So you can see the 8 on the left-hand side there, the 8 universities that are involved. On the right-hand side, you can see the sponsors. General Motor was our primary sponsor, but we've had a lot of interest and involvement from Intel, Velodyne, Bosch, companies all over the world that have been to help make this happen. And I mentioned that SAE's J3016 and the 5 levels of automation. So this kind of gives you just a kind of a graphic on that standard, first published in 2014. You'll hear this frequently referred to in various discussions, engineering briefs, presentations and such. This defines the 5 levels of automation as defined by SAE. And the goal of this Auto Drive Challenge is to get to a SAE level 5 fully autonomous vehicle. So there are various stages that the teams have to meet throughout the 3 years. So it's really been an exciting program. And one of the things we've seen as a result of this program and the impact, I mentioned all the various things they do other than just building a vehicle. 91% of the students saw an improvement in leadership skills. 96% saw an improvement in teaming skills. 93% in project management, 92% in communication. So finance and budgeting, all of these things that they're doing beyond just building a vehicle. And these are very applicable skills that they take right into the job market when they go work in their first job. And that's why these students are highly sought after by companies, and a lot of companies come out and recruit at these events. Moving on, so taking from that collegiate design series, and now we talk about how students go from there, they graduate, they get a job, they use those skills in the job. We offer various opportunities for professional development. And this is really about how people can continue learning as they're professionals. We host over 450 classes every year, over 8,000 participants. And let me talk a little bit about the ways in which we do that. We have various learning modalities. We hold seminars. These are open to the public to just come in and register and attend 1, 2, or 3-day courses. Over 200 titles spanning a wide range of technologies, whether it be engineering methods, management, business topics. And most of our instructors come either from industry or directly from academia. They are not SAE employees, but they are rather instructors that are working in the industry. We have engineering academies. These tend to be a lot more intensive 5-day courses. We get involved in case studies. We do site visits, very hands-on learning. So those are much more intense. E-learning, of course, especially over the past year with the pandemic, the growth of e-learning continues to expand. And we've made that available. We've had this for a long time, various web seminars, e-seminars, fast track, short online courses, and we continue to grow that portfolio every year. And finally, corporate learning solutions. So basically, a lot of those seminars that I mentioned that we do kind of for the public, we can also take and do privately for organizations. Sometimes a company will just want to train a group of their engineers at their corporate location. So we'll get instructors and we'll come in and we'll do that. So a lot of various learning modalities in ways that we help, again, those practicing professional engineers to continue their education. Some of the topics covered in the ground vehicle market, I'm not going to read all these, but we've seen a lot of popularity lately in electronics. We have various courses on battery technology, a lot of courses in autonomy and autonomous vehicles. Those have been very popular. And then, of course, the ones that have always been popular for us, fuels and energy sources, noise, vibration, harshness, and vehicle dynamics and handling as well. On the aerospace side and general engineering tools, one of our most popular courses is the AS9100C internal auditor training that's required for certification for the NADCAP program for the aerospace supply chain. That's an extremely popular course. And we also offer courses on general engineering tools, FMEA, geometric dimensioning and tolerancing, root cause analysis and problem solving. So a lot of courses available. Again, some of these you can take online, we can bring to you at your place of work, or you can sign up for some of our open enrollment seminars that we host. So moving on, I mentioned some of the events we do, and we do more than 20 international events a year. These are some of the trade shows that SAE does, and I'm only going to call out 2 here this morning. Aerotech is our largest aerospace event, and so we've done it digitally the last 2 years, obviously, as need be. We are happy to say that we will be in person and live in 2022, March 15th and 17th in Pasadena, California, here in the United States. This is our largest aerospace conference, and you can see some of the topics up there that we cover and that we host. I will say lately we've seen a lot of great presentations involving unmanned systems, vertical takeoff, drones, all those type of things, autonomous aircraft, and of course electric aircraft as well. So the topics in these conferences seem to kind of go where the technology is going. On the automotive side, I'd say what we call WCX, the SAE World Congress, is one of our biggest events every year. At one time used to be the largest trade show in the automotive industry. It's been eclipsed by some of the larger automotive shows, but it's still a large event. We hold every year in Detroit, Michigan. Again, happy to say that in 2022, we'll be hosting that live April 5th through April 7th and in Detroit. And this is, again, a very collaborative experience, bringing industries or engineers together from all over the world to talk about automotive engineering. And it's been a great conference. A lot of the papers that SAE publishes come from either WCX or Aerotech. I'd say probably about 60 to 70% of the papers the conference papers we publish come from these two specific events. So I want to get more into our standards program, and because again, that's really what SAE is known for. I wanted to cover some of the other things that we do, but now I want to spend a little bit of time talking about our standards and giving you an overview of our standards program. So on the ground vehicle side, we have over 8,500 standards. In the aerospace market, 32,000 active standards. So a lot of standards publishing each year, as well as maintaining and updating and revising existing standards. On the left-hand side, you can see kind of our standards portfolio: aerospace standards, aerospace material standards, ground vehicle standards, our engine and airframe standards, 2D and 3D part standards, as well as historical standards. So I want to start a little bit and talk about our aerospace standards. So we have more than 8,000 standards published to date. It's basically the largest aerospace standards program in the world. And I have some information and some stats that I'll show you in a little bit to compare that to other groups. We're recognized internationally. A lot of support from global aerospace companies, and I'll show you that in a moment. And so to give you an idea of the aerospace standardization landscape, here you can see the SAE Aerospace standardization totals. So SAE has over 8,400 standards. The next closest, ASTM, with 3,644. The AIA with 2,253, and ASD stand as well, with over 2,900. So SAE produces the largest group of standards in the aerospace market, both for civil and military applications. Our aerospace standards group is led by our Aerospace Council, and you can see some of the organizations here that are involved in the Aerospace Council. Of course, some of the bigger airframers: Airbus, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Lufthansa, companies all around the globe. But also you've got regulation bodies, EASA and the FAA are involved as well. And in the chart there on the right, you can see kind of the makeup between North America and Europe and Asia as well. And our council structure. So again, the Aerospace Council, we have our systems group, and then we have the various technical standards committees. So these are basically where all the committees, how they're subdivided as far as general projects, airport ground support, aircraft, electronics and electrical systems, mech and fluid systems, propulsion, avionics systems, and you can read the rest there. So this kind of gives you an idea of how we set up our committees and how our committees are structured. Again, some of the global organizations that are involved in standards, in our standards development. Again, a lot of the major airframers, Airbus, Boeing, Bombardier, the engine manufacturers, Rolls-Royce, Safran, BAE Systems. So Lufthansa, Air France, truly a global organization involving companies all around the world. An important thing about SAE's aerospace standards is that they are highly cited in regulations, both with EASA and with the FAA. You can see on the left in EASA, we have the most cited at 147. With the FAA, we have over 400 SAE standards cited in regulations. Again, the most of any body. So this really speaks to the breadth and the depth and the importance of SAE's aerospace standards in the aerospace community for the airframers and the supply chain. So moving on to our ground vehicle standards. And again, I want to kind of tell you a little bit about our structure and how we're structured. So you can see we have our Motor Vehicle Council, truck and bus, our commercial agriculture, specialized vehicles, materials, parts and processes, fuels and lubes, and systems management, all led by our Executive Standards Committee. So our ground vehicle standards, otherwise known as our J reports, and this kind of just, again, this graphic calls out a couple highlights on the automobile side. But one thing I want to mention, and I'm going to go on to the next slide here, is really our ground vehicle standards not only cover the automobile, but also we cover truck, bus, rail, military specialty vehicles, construction and mining, marine, and agriculture. And here's again a graphic calling out some things on a commercial truck. But that's why we kind of refer to them as ground vehicle and not automobile standards, because it's really anything that rolls, that floats, or whatever on the ground. So we have a lot of standards in a lot of different areas. And again, the other thing is talking about emerging mobility standards. And this graphic may be a little hard to read. I apologize that some of the things are a little small, but really what they're pointing out in this graphic is all the various areas where we're involved in emerging mobility. I mentioned before, we have a lot of standards, and we do a lot of training courses on autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles, battery technology. We do a lot with electric charging. We also get into things like micro-mobility and scooters, bicycles, all those types of things, really looking at how the world of mobility and mobility engineering is changing into the future. And I mentioned before SAE's J3016, the 5 levels of driving automation, which has been kind of the gold standard as far as automated driving standards. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit here and talk about SAE Mobilis. I mentioned before, this is our platform for sharing all of our content, all of our publications, all of our standards, talking about our committees, our professional development courses. So this is really a platform we launched back in 2016, designed by engineers for engineers. We really went out, got a lot of market feedback on how do you access content? How do you use content in your workflows? How would you like to use it? You can see a lot of the features involved with SAE Mobilis. It's updated on a daily basis, full text search. You can customizable dashboards, so you can, customize it to fit your needs. We have administrator reporting. There is a multi-language interface. Now, all of the publications and documents you can get on Mobilis are in English, but the interface and a lot of the metadata can be translated into other languages. It's an open platform, and that means that anybody can go to SAE Mobilis and search and read abstracts, see the metadata. You just won't be able to download the full text document. But we want people to go and discover the content that SAE has available to them. And there's a lot of other great features there as well on SAE Mobilis. So I mentioned our publication portfolio, our standards, our technical papers, our scholarly journals, ebooks, those magazines we've been publishing since 1911, SAE Edge research reports. And I want to take a quick moment to talk about these, because this is a new publication we've come up with. And I can tell a story. I'll save you a lot of the boring details, but we were visiting a university and talking to a professor that was involved in some of our standards committees on some newer technologies. And, she brought up a great point that, that's great, but if you want the companies like the Googles and Amazons and, Blue Origin and Tesla involved, you got to move fast. You can't take 3 to 5 years to publish a new standard with this new technology. And that really hit home with us. And so we've created these SAE Edge research reports. What these do are look at unsettled new technology topics in the automotive landscape, both with ground vehicle and aerospace. They're not standards because there are no standards developed yet, but they really look at the current problems and ways to solve current problems in some of this unsettled technology. So we've been publishing these for about 1.5 years now, gaining a lot of support. We're getting a lot of great authors from all around the world to publish these. So they're really interesting. I'd implore you to go to SAE Mobilis and check them out. So another thing that's brand new for SAE is SAE OnCue, and we feel this is really going to change the game and how people access and use standards, because this is really a digital standard systems that is driving digital transformation. If you just think about how you currently access standards right now, say you're building a part for an airplane wing and you need a specific bolt, and you know how long. Maybe you know the diameter, you know the materials. So you go into SAE Mobilis and you search and you pull up, and maybe you get 200 different standards that match some of those basic parameters. So you have to sit and you have to search through 200 different documents to find what you're looking for. So what OnCue allows you to do is put in those constraints, put in that size, put in that diameter, put in that material, put in what type of materials it can't be. You know, if it needs to be anti-corrosive or whatever, and pull up maybe just a couple of matches that giving you the exact standard that you need. That's really what OnCue is going to allow you to do. Same thing with materials. You can put in the tensile strength, the type of material, what it's made out of, and pull up just the exact thing that you need instead of spending all day searching through various documents. The other thing that this is allowing organizations to do is really move forward with digital transformation. So they can now take SAE standard data and connect it to their PLM systems. So if they're in their CAD software and they're working on a design, and they're looking at various specs that they might have as an organization, they can pull up the relevant SAE standards right then and there within their PLM systems or within their CAD systems and design right instead of going out elsewhere to look. So we feel this is really going to help simplify the product development process, save time searching, really maintain data integrity and change management as things change and update. Again, because it's connected right to your PLM, that changes everything in your internal documentation that's connected to that standard. So we're really excited about OnCue and happy to introduce it. It's the first real true digital standard system. We do have open access publishing options, both gold and green options. For a fee payable by the author or their research funder, they can put their publications on SAE Mobilis. So we're very happy about that. The other thing we've recently launched here is our mobility archive. And this is really the first preprint server for mobility and transportation research. So this allows authors to post their article pre-publication and get feedback. And this is really the first of its kind in kind of the mobility engineering community. So we're very happy. We just launched this toward the beginning of the year. So, and you can see some of the topics that we're getting articles on and that we're encouraging authors to write and submit and get feedback. And a lot of these articles do end up, becoming either paper presentations or journal articles with SAE. So I've talked a lot about what SAE's done. I've given you a lot of information. And I want to just kind of end by how you can get involved. And there's several different ways. Of course, you can become a member. Go to SAE.org. I mentioned we have we're running a special on membership for a discounted rate through the end of the month. We certainly implore you to join our technical standards committees. Our content, our standards are only as good as the volunteers and the people that join our committees and participate. So we implore you, please get involved. You're welcome to get involved with committees just to listen and watch and be a part and hear kind of what's going on with the technology as well. Of course, we encourage you to author, whether books, technical papers, journal articles. You don't have to do a paper presentation at a conference anymore. We do general open calls for papers that are non-conference related. That we publish as well. So there's those opportunities. I mentioned the Edge research reports. If you're working in new and unsettled technology, we certainly would love to hear from you and possibly Right and Edge research report, open access publishing as well. So various ways that you can get involved with SAE International. I will conclude with one final slide by introducing you to Shitong Jing. Shitong is our Asia Pacific sales and support, and you can see her email address up there. She works out of our SAE office in Shanghai, China, and probably a little more relevant to your time schedule than we are here in the United States. So if you have any questions on anything you have seen, you would like to know more about getting involved with SAE, Shitong would be very happy and willing to help you. So with that, I'm going to conclude my slides, and I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to open this up for any questions that you may have. So we've got a first question up here on the screen. I'll just.
First question from Nurul Huda Ahmad. Mr. David, thank you for your talk. May I know what kind of standard involved parts manufacturing, measurement tools, calibration, system process, flow, etc.? Thank you for your response.
Yes, thank you. Great question. You know, honestly, it's a lot when you have over 35,000 standards. I will say most of it is a lot with parts and materials, but certainly on the aerospace side, that's what you're going to see. On the automotive side, again, you're going to see a lot of parts, materials. You're going to see more processes though as well. And a lot of quality, a lot of safety specifications and standards as well. So those are probably the core key areas. Great question.
Thank you, Mr. Kurywchak, and thank you also for your insightful sharing with us today. And it's our great pleasure to have you as our captain. And we believe your sharing will benefit and inspiring for our students, our staff, alumni, and our community as well. And despite of your busy schedule, you are giving your precious time with us. Okay, and then thank you for our viewers for your passion and keep interest. And this is a question from Mr. Suhaimil. Prof. Suhaimi, many students interested to register as SAE member. Can you advise on how to register, fees and benefits, Mr. David?
Yeah, so that's a great question as well. To register, it's very simple. If you go to SAE.org and you click, I think it says membership at the top, you'll get, I believe student membership is $95 US, but it's been a while since I've checked. But yeah, I mean, the benefits, I mean, you certainly get a lot of discounts off of, again, SAE events, SAE publications. I think that the biggest advantage to being a member, especially for a student, is the connections. SAE member connection, and I wish I had time to pull it up and show you, is really key for students. If again, you can connect with mentors in there. There's job postings. That's really where a lot of SAE members go to connect with one another. And this is all across the world. This isn't just, people connecting in the US, people connecting, wherever. So it is really a great place to go and to connect. So I'd highly encourage you, if you are a member, if you're interested in becoming a member, become involved with SAE's member connection and really use it to its full advantage, because there's a lot of benefits there. Good question.
Thank you, Mr. David. All right, this is from our professor, Professor Sharifah Kamila Said Yusof. Thank you for the great sharing information. Significant changes needed in products, service system support with vehicle automation adoption. This would involve the skills and capacity change in human capital provision in this industry. How can address this challenge at university?
Well, that's a very good question, a very loaded question, and I'm not sure I can address it fully. I would say I think that's where involvement in our committees is going to be key. And I mentioned before how SAE we really don't create any content. We rely on our members and stakeholders, and you don't have to be a member to contribute to our standards committees. But we rely on people from industry to bring these issues forward and to get together in the committees. And this is what they discuss. And this is how kind of we affect change on the industry. You know, we're just a convener, and a lot of times we use the term neutral convener when we talk about SAE, because that's what we do. We're just a convener. We get people together. We're not the ones bringing up these issues, but I mean, this is a great example of a challenge, and I think that could be definitely addressed with some of our committee participants. And I said, I don't have the insight into a lot of our, we have so many, over 700 committees, the insight into what all of them are doing that could address this. But I would definitely look online, and you can also contact me offline as well. And I'll throw my contact information in the chat. I didn't have it up on a slide, but I'll throw it there. And I can put you in touch with the right people to help.
Okay, thank you, Mr. David. Right, that's okay. That would be the last questions from Professor Sharifah. All right, thank you. All right. Okay, so far that was the last questions, Mr. David. All right. Okay, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for our viewers. We are trying our best to share all the questions, and Mr. David has entertained all the questions from our viewers successfully. All right. Okay. In your opinion, Mr. David, how does mobility engineering would inspire our public, the community, so that they will understand and appreciate the profound impact of the engineering profession in your mobility engineering in your industry as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's another great question, and I think it really one of the things I kind of look at, and it goes back to our mission statement about really advancing mobility engineering for the benefit of humanity, and that's what we're trying to really do here. Is we're looking at ways that we can benefit people. Autonomous driving. I mean, if you just think about people that don't have the ability to drive anymore, that might be able to take an autonomous vehicle now and get around the modes of transportation. Things like truck platooning, agriculture, things like autonomous vehicles in agriculture. Certainly, I mean, we could have a long discussion about electric vehicles and the impact on the environment and those kind of things that are really making a positive change for the world today. And that is what is really exciting about SAE and the work that we're doing is these are all things that, again, help people get around, help impact the environment and the world in a positive way. So I'd say that those would be things that really, that are really interesting about the work that SAE is doing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. David. All right, okay. Now that's all for now. And again, thank you, Mr. David, to support our program today, and to our viewers out there who keep support and keep interest with our Captain of Industry and with our webinar series. And it's always a pleasure for us for having our large number of viewers for our program today. And all right, is that Dr. Rafiq will coming back for us? All right, for that, okay, is done. Then I will invite Prof. Shuhaimi for closing remarks for today. Prof. Shuhaimi?
Sure. Hello, David. Thank you so much. Thank you, Murni, for the MC, and David for your willingness to be with us today. It's a pleasure. So I hope that it's not going to be the first time. We will invite you again if possible, right? Yeah.
Would love to have. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I suppose that we should communicate more after this. So this will give a benefit to the students, the professors, and also the automotive and aerospace industry specifically, right?
Certainly, yes. Happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, David. So hope to see you again. And to all the viewers, don't forget to share and like our program and for another Captain of Industry webinar. Bye-bye all.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
everybody.
Okay, Murni, you would like to say
Okay, thank
something?
you,
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, to
Yeah.
our viewers, Mr. David, and all of you, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep your social distancing. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share our program. Have a good day. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And take care, Mr. David.
Thank you. Thank
All
you
the
for having
best.
me.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.